I wanted to talk about what I believe is one of the biggest problems that plagues our industry and how we can overcome it as trainers. And the biggest problem that plagues our industry is there is a massive asymmetry of information between people who buy our services and us, whereby our clients, prospective clients, know so little about what actually constitutes a good service in the fitness industry, what a good workout is, what a good workout isn't.
This is the online trainer show, trainer show, trainer show. This is the online trainer show. We shouldn't have a podcast.
I gotta stop eating vegetables before we start recording.
You really
I
do,
got
man.
celery and carrots all stuck in my teeth, man.
Jonathan, you could stop the sentence at vegetables, actually.
I'm sure we can expect glossers for you.
This is going to be a great start to the podcast where all that we can hear is Ren munching French fries and me talking about vegetables in my teeth.
That's what they've come to expect, Jonathan.
Have they come to expect anything?
Right.
But you know what? I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this the other day because I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, the Conan O'Brien podcast.
So good.
Which is, I think it's called Conan Needs a Friend, which is like kind of somewhat like how I modeled this one off of.
Right.
Like when I thought about the type of characters that we wanted, when I talked about the type of flow to the show, like use that one a lot as inspiration. And one of the things that I realized is, particularly in the last couple months, Conan got like super political. Like he used it as a platform to really, he had Hillary Clinton on, he had Michelle Obama on, like it was very political. And it wasn't that I was like not interested. It's not what I go to that podcast for. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I go to that podcast to laugh and to disconnect and to go for walks and whatever. And so I found myself actually turning off the podcast when it got to the point where it was the substance. Like basically they start with 10 or 15 minutes of nonsense at the beginning. And it's hilarious. I mean, it's Matt and Sonia and Sana. Sorry, not Sonia. And Sana and Conan. And they're just like, their banter is just insane. It's just so funny. But I found myself turning off the podcast when it got into the guest.
Yeah.
When it got into the substance.
Got to the substance.
And as a result, I still listen to every single episode. And I find that I'm actually, now that I've been listening to it pretty reliably for a while, I'm actually like pretty disinterested in the guests basically all the time. Like to me, that's when the podcast goes downhill.
That's where it trails off.
That's where it trails off. Because it's like, yeah, Kevin Hart, like I hear you talking about motivational stuff if I want to hear somebody talk about motivational stuff, like there are motivational speakers, right?
Right.
I'm fascinated in the behind, but the guests that come onto the show, similar to a talk show, in that case, come on with an agenda, right? They want to promote a certain
something.
thing. They want to push their character and their brand forward in a certain way. The earlier guests that they had on before his show was big, like if you look at like Zach Galifianakis' episode was incredible. It was just hilarious. Like
Zach was so funny. That was probably the standout episode for me. That was probably the funniest episode. I like Will Arnett too. That was a pretty funny episode. The Will Arnett
one was amazing.
Yeah,
I think the Will Arnett one might be better. The Zach Galifianakis one I've listened to 4 times. Like you've overdone it, Jonathan.
It
is so fun.
You watched it too many times. If I can quote the Notorious B.I.G. in the song Juicy, I let my tape rock till my tape pop. Yeah, you listen to it too much.
I always let my tape rock until
your tape pops. Yeah.
Pops. I always
sipping on private stock. Birthdays was the worst days. Now we ship champagne when we're thirsty.
I've actually legitimately never listened to the lyrics of that song.
It's a good. It's a quality.
That's what it was.
It's a quality song. So the song Juicy, and I'm assuming the podcast has started. At this point, we don't care. We just talk, and Amber cuts it on and cuts it off. We just whatever comes out, we're fine with it.
You're basically hearing me and my best friend Ren Jones just talk.
Right, just talking about nonsense.
It's basically
what this editing is for. It's all good.
Right,
but we don't edit. We don't edit this.
She stops it
more now.
Yeah,
really?
There's some things that. Do we? There's some things.
I was aware of everything that you did for this company in this broadcast, Amber. Thank you very much. You're very much appreciated.
Jonathan has no idea what it goes. But in the song Juicy, Biggie, the Notorious B.I.G., he was Biggie Smalls at that point, but he ran into some contract issues, couldn't use that name. It's been used before. But really? The Notorious Biggie Smalls. There's a Richard Pryor and Bill Cosby movie in which there's a character named Biggie Smalls. And Biggie Smalls is like a gangster. It's a funny movie. I think it's called Uptown Saturday Night, 70s movie. What Juicy is about is just how he it is his process of becoming a rap star and what he went through. It's his Transformation Tuesday. Juicy is a Notorious Big's Transformation Tuesday song. He starts off saying it was all a dream. He used to read Word Up magazine back in the day. Word Up magazine.
You know what the dumbest thing about this is?
Rap.
If Biggie were now, he would be on Instagram, and that song wouldn't exist.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
All that would exist would be one of those stupid how it began, how it's going posts. Like that. That would be the thing. It would have been him reading Word Up magazine. Then it would have been him in front of the mic in a studio, and that would have been it. And we would have missed out on that lyrical gold.
You make a good point here, because I think that to a certain extent, here's what I like about social media. In terms of because I don't know if you guys know this, but I was in an R&B
Fortress, right?
It's called Fortress.
You guys played at the Apollo?
Big deal. Yeah, and I got the tape. We've referenced this several times, but I feel feel the Steve Harvey. I feel the need to say it every time because I don't have a lot of other highlights.
I wrote 11 books.
Life, quite frankly, I'm over the we're both aging at this point, Jonathan. So I mean, obviously, if you listen to podcasts, you guys know our best stuff behind us, right? We're living on.
I've told every single story that I have at least 3 times at this point.
Right. We're in the recycling portion of this production now.
But what I think is that people don't understand that we like joke about stuff. Like on a couple episodes ago, we were just like giving crap to anybody who runs and talking about how running's stupid. That was a bit. And actually we got some comments about that. That from people were like, oh, I can't believe like you don't understand that that was a bit. Like I am running in my program not because my trainer, the online trainer coaching, is unwilling to remove and change running from my program. I'm running in my program because I like running and I think it's good and I think it fits into the program well. It doesn't mean I'm still not going to make fun of it. Like it's a bit.
Right.
Right?
If you're supposed to make fun of, the whole point here is for us to make fun of things. That's why it's entertaining. But what was I saying? Oh, so what I do like about social media is it's removed the barrier to entry, right? Like if you have a discernible talent, I mean, we've seen it. I saw some type of Pantene commercial the other day, and it had like an actress on it, but it had some lady that I didn't know, and it had her at symbol, and it didn't say at Amber Reynolds, although Amber Reynolds' hair is always luxurious. Flaxen haired podcast producer and Amber Reynolds, but it had her at name, and I was like, oh, who's this? So I went and looked her up, and it was a lady who does shampoo stuff on YouTube, and because of social media, it's reduced the barrier to entry, and now she has she's in a Pantene commercial, whatever. Like I like that part. What I don't like is that social media sort of kills the creativity. To your point, Jonathan, you couldn't even you're missing the whole Biggie Smalls Notorious.
Yeah, it wouldn't really be there.
Just by it'd be a poster.
Okay, Wayne, you got to work on your internet, dude. Amber, you want to talk? An
entire lyric. It'd be a TikTok. So that's what I don't like about it. So I guess that's my gripe today.
Just so you know, when your internet is cut out 4 times.
I see it, and see when I looked at it, you guys circled through, and let me check on my internet.
All right.
The people on the podcast want to know if I'm checking on my internet.
I guess to kind of finish my thought about the banter at the beginning of the podcast and the content of the podcast. It's interesting because I think why I still go back to the Conan podcast. This is what I was thinking about was I go back to it because I look forward to that banter in the beginning and it's comfortable and it's fun for me. And then I actually kind of turn off the podcast when it gets to the guest, and I listen to it or don't listen to it. And I feel like that probably happens here. You know, people come to the podcast originally for the content.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. right.
Right. What a mistake that is. And then they, and then like so then they'll enjoy the content, a little bit, or maybe they'll go to a specific episode with a specific problem they want to solve or something they want to know about, whatever it is. But then the right type of person that this is for begins to enjoy the beginning bit. And I feel like a lot of the time people actually probably like tune out. I don't know.
The information.
Send Amber at the PTDC an email about this. She doesn't have enough to do.
Yeah, let it. Right. She's got a free day.
She's got lots of free days. Yeah.
I've got like 3 things on my list of things to do. And they all sort of tie directly back to, like, she's literally waiting for me to do like at least 2 to 3 things right now. I'm just dragging my feet on to the last minute.
I counted 5 different times that I tagged Amber Reynolds in on things before I came into the office this morning.
and to Amber's credit, she just sits there like the entire planet's not on fire all the time. Yeah. I would turn my camera off if I like. I check out and do my own work. I like have a snack or something.
I just one day I know I'm going to get just a pop up on my screen. It's going to be like, this user no longer allows you to tag her in posts. That'd be like the greatest. I'd be like, Amber, here's your citizenship to Canada. You have learned our passive aggressive nature.
We're all going to get blocked by Amber. Let me tell you, it's a sad day at the PTDC, the day that we all get blocked by Amber Reynolds. I can assure you of that. That's like you pack your stuff up. That's the 7th sign of the apocalypse when you tag Amber Reynolds, only to find out you're blocked. And I'm steps away from that every single day of my life at this point.
It's a fine line.
I'm a stone's throw away every single day from getting, like, when I feel so bad when she asks me for something twice. Like, I feel so conflicted by that. Like,
but if you think about it, like if she has to ask you for it twice, she has to ask Carolina for it at least 5 times.
Right.
So, how long did it take to get Carolina's contract done for this?
You don't even know that it's done. I've asked.
Like
I heard it was printed.
Okay. Well, it's
in progress. Yeah.
This is why nothing gets done in the town of Barrie, people. Like, if this is
this is indicative of their processes in the entire town of it. Catalina is the full representative of everything that goes on in Barrie.
if you're the first lady of the town of Barrie, Ontario, and I don't know if you guys saw, there was big news. The mayor got elected to a even higher position where he's now head of, I can't remember exactly what it is, but he's head of like the board of all of the mayors of the towns that like surround, of like the big towns that surround Toronto, which are like a whole bunch of like small to medium to big size towns. And if this is indicative, if the first lady's actions are indicative,
it's a sad commentary.
We got some issues. Let's get that contract signed though. Let's get that signed up.
What's going on in Barrie? Yeah, Catalina's like the multiplier, like it's 5 times whatever the normal process is.
We're not going to pay her loonies for this episode.
That's right. That's right. And that's why it's so enjoyable to have. It's like a treat every time she's here. You don't want to spoil your dinner, so you can't have it all the time.
Yes.
And thank you for not spoiling our lunch or dinner today, Keto. We miss you though. We'll see you next time. I'll laugh at my own stuff today. I can do that. I can multitask.
It was considering we could do a laugh track of Carolina's laugh and add it in. That could be.
We do.
That would be so much cheaper.
We need the most artificial version. The most artificial version of her laughter. Just something blatantly so badly recorded that it's noticeable every time that we use it.
There was back in the day when like all these sitcoms had laugh tracks. What was the show where there was the only laugh was this one was ha ha?
I don't remember this, Jonathan. I don't.
Do you know there was a sitcom like that where it was like there would be like 2 laughs, but one of them, whenever there was like a big joke, it would just be one dude who'd be like ha
I've never
somebody
seen it.
somewhere must have measured this and like, this is a good way to do a laugh track.
Is this a Canadian show, Jonathan?
I don't think so. No.
I don't like when you say back in the day, because when you say back in the day, it was like 5 years ago for me because of the age difference. You're like, yeah, when I was a kid, and I'm like, well, I was 30 when that happened, so I don't like your historical stories.
But I mean, TV shows don't have laugh tracks anymore, right? I mean,
yeah, they got laugh tracks.
Do they? I don't engage in media. I don't know.
Right. It's like you're the worst person to have this conversation with, Jonathan.
That's right.
You've seen like 2 TV shows in the last 20 years.
I think I've legitimately watched 20 minutes of TV in the last 3 months.
That's both positive and sad.
Dude, I log on to Netflix now and I'm like, there is legitimately nothing that interests me here.
I can see that. That makes sense because there's first of all, there's too much TV. Let's just go ahead and say that.
There's too much choice, right?
Like I'm from a golden age of television where there was ABC, NBC, and CBS, and that was it. Mm-hmm. You know, television went off at midnight. Like you couldn't watch TV past midnight, and it didn't come on until 6 a.m. So if you got up too early, you see a test pattern on the television. You had to. I remember being up on Saturday mornings, and for the 40 and over crowd that's listening to this podcast, or anybody that's listening to this podcast, you guys probably remember being up to like Saturday mornings with your bowl of cereal, waiting for TV to come on, like waiting for cartoons to start at 6 a.m. That was the greatest thrill.
That was you.
And even the internet ruined that because now you watch a cartoon on your phone. Yeah, like there's no excitement. Like there was excitement all week building up till Saturday.
There's no excitement due to expectation. And
That's
when
true.
You actually look at like when we enjoy things and what makes us what we look forward to and what actually brings us more joy, the expectation of an event actually brings us more joy than the actual
event. I saw that
in almost every case.
I read an article about planning a vacation actually released more endorphins and dopamine than actual vacation did itself. And that's what makes the podcast so great.
Right.
Because it's so random. You can't possibly expect what's going to happen. Like there's no way to predict you'll never be bored with this production. You may also never be entertained. And we can also triple threat. We can also not ever inform you. Like
that's
we're
what
good
I was
at all
say.
three. We're good
at all three.
Yeah.
The best thing to do actually for a vacation and stuff like that is to, if you can, pay in full upfront, in advance, because then there's no associated pain.
You're riding the high of the expectation.
Yeah, then it's only pleasure going into it.
That sounds creepy. I don't know why. Something about that creeped me out. Paying
associated
up front,
pleasure.
Yeah, just paying up front and no pain, only pleasure. I don't know. Seems weird to me. There is a topic. I'm sorry. Amber's holding up the topic sign. She's like our own personal deal or no deal model here. So, case number 12, Amber, 12. So the topic. Oh, we know the topic. We did not bring it down to a concise title because we were a little bit confused about the title.
Because I told Amber what I wanted to talk about today. We were like a day ahead of the topic this time.
It was a day ahead. You would have thought the first half of this podcast would have gone better than it has because we were very well prepared. Which brings me to another point. That's a problem for us. This is why we don't prepare. Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't prepare. So I told Amber what I wanted to talk about, and I actually sent her a voice message with it. And I think I actually said, I was like, but that sounds horrible. So let's do the podcast. And then we'll try to figure out a concise topic afterwards based off of what we actually said. Hey, Jonathan Goodman here. This podcast is made possible thanks to people like you. Here's a quick word from our sponsors. Are you still trying to pick your online training software? If so, let me make this easy for you. Go with PT Distinction. It's truly the best, and I'm not just saying that because they're our sponsor. We actually use PT Distinction for our own online fitness business, online trainer coaching, and we're really happy with it. From onboarding to programming to client communication, PT Distinction has everything you need to run your online fitness business smoothly, and it's super simple to use. Now, normally they offer a free 30-day trial, but as a listener of the Online Trainer Show, you get a free 60-day trial, so you can make sure you love them before spending a dime. If you want to deliver first-class service to your clients while reclaiming your time, then visit onlinetrainer.com/PT to sign up for your free 60-day trial today. If you're a fitness nutrition coach that's looking to master online coaching so that you can help more people, make more money, and have more freedom, then the Online Trainer Academy can help. OTA gives you the framework, knowledge, and support to have predictable success with your online coaching business. From marketing to business development to how to assess and motivate your clients online, it is constantly updated and refreshed to keep up with a dynamic market. Not only that, OTA is proven. In 7 years, we've helped over 30,000 coaches in 87 countries go online. Truth is, we know what works, so you can get right to the success part. And in case you're busy working a full-time job or you're a full-time parent, know that you can go at your own pace. There's no deadlines to complete OTA and you have lifetime access. That said, if you are ready to make a rapid change and finish the course in the next 8 to 12 weeks, you can expect to invest 3 to 5 hours each week on the program. And here's the best part. If you join today, you will make an extra $1,000 a month in 90 days, or I'll give you your money back. So if you're ready to build the fitness business you want and make the money you deserve, go to onlinetrainer.com/academy to enroll today. And I hope to see you in there. So
That's
what I
fair.
said to her that I wanted to talk about is I wanted to talk about what I believe is one of the biggest problems that plagues our industry and how we can overcome it as trainers. And the biggest problem that plagues our industry is there is a massive asymmetry of information between people who buy our services and us, whereby our clients, prospective clients, know so little about what actually constitutes a good service in the fitness industry, what a good workout is, what a good workout isn't, what they could be receiving, what options are available for them, that they have no idea who to trust. And this isn't just in the fitness industry, right? This is common in a lot of industries, but when there's such a huge asymmetry between what clients know and what trainers know, it leads to a lot of really frustrating issues. Most notably, people don't think that we're worth the money and are willing to pay us money for what we do. And one of the biggest reasons why you get price objections is because people don't respect what you do. People don't respect what you do because there's this information asymmetry.
Right.
And what's particularly been interesting is that since we launched this online trainer coaching, I've realized that it's actually the problem goes much deeper than I initially thought, because our only clients for online trainer coaching are other coaches.
Right.
And the other coaches, as we found, in a surprisingly large quantity.
In overwhelming numbers, I would have to say.
Yeah, we were really surprised by this, the first cohort, right? And then we got ahead of it, the second cohort, and we had to include a tremendous amount of additional education before people signed up.
Yes.
And then after people signed up before they got their programs, because trainers didn't actually know what went into good training.
Right.
That's how big this asymmetry is. People who work in our industry don't actually know what a good service is, what a good program is, and what it isn't. And when they were giving a good program, they were upset because they expected it to be something that was actually way less scientific, way less effective.
Right.
Why isn't there much more variation to the programs? I want to be doing a new workout every day. Well, that's why you've never gotten results. Right. Like you have to repeat exercises when you look at priority of different variables of core components of program design. Variability is like number 4 down the list of what's important, which basically means it's ignored. Right? Like specificity, like programming towards your goal. Like we kind of get that in theory.
Right.
But then, I mean, progressive overload, neurological adaptation, maximizing those things all come before variation. And actually, variation opposes some of those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the it's so interesting they said that. It's the same as the freedom versus security thing, right? Do I want security or do I want my freedoms? It's the same thing as single versus married, right? Like some things don't exist they don't coexist to produce a result of both things at one time. Like you're trading off one thing for another. I had a person ask me, if a coach asked me why there were no handstands, and I was like, what? Yeah, I would have thought you guys would put some handstands in here. I was like, this isn't the X-Men.
I remember I did the keynote talk at the Cressy Sports Performance fall seminar last year.
Wait, he's talking about Eric Cressy. He's sort of world-renowned, well, at least nationally, world-renowned strength and conditioning coach. Eric almost exclusively works with baseball players, from what I understand. He's got a facility in Florida and one in Canada, or is it New York?
No, Boston.
Boston.
Just outside of Boston, Hudson, Massachusetts, technically.
There we go. Boston and Florida. Jupiter, Florida, I think.
Jupiter, Florida, yeah. So I did. So I don't know where I cut out. My internet cut out for a second there, but it was this group of people attending it were like some of the most advanced, like really advanced trainers and coaches, right?
Right.
And I talked about online training, of course. Right. And somebody put up their hand afterwards, and he was a gym owner. And I later found out, like, this guy had like 15 years experience. Like, he was not new to the industry. And he put up his hand and he said, I've thought about doing online training for a while. I really enjoy your presentation. Like I think I'm sold on it. Like, I get it now. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody that was trying to sell me on it before, like, it just didn't make sense. Like, I get it now. I get why it's potentially beneficial for me. This was before COVID, by the way. But he said, my biggest problem is what if clients don't have the equipment that I have in my gym at home? All of my clients train with kettlebells. And so what if a client doesn't have a 50-pound kettlebell at home? Like, how do I train them?
Right.
And I was just like, wait a minute. You're telling me I did I couldn't quite. I wanted to make sure I understood his question properly before I answered, because I didn't believe what I heard. It was like, do you think that there might be potentially a way to get that client you're talking about results with anything other than a 50-pound kettlebell?
How about a 50-pound dumbbell?
Well, yeah. Well, so couldn't you build your program in a way that doesn't require a very specific piece of equipment? Yeah. Well, there you go.
Try that.
It was just like that again, but this comes down to this idea of this problem of this information asymmetry, which this is why I said, like, we got to figure out a better title on the show, because information asymmetry in training
that won't sell it.
Actually,
that won't sell it.
I feel like overcoming the information asymmetry in coaching could be actually a good title, because people wouldn't get it so much that they'd want to listen to the episode.
Can I just tell you, it sounds like a college course that I would have actively avoided.
Yeah,
based on the name alone.
100%. Everybody would.
Yeah,
everybody would. And then the kid who showed up late just gets put into.
I'm definitely showing up late for that. I'm sitting in the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sit in the back.
Don't name it that. Don't name it that.
And so anyway, so number one, I mean, just like this goes wide. It was really quite jarring when we did the first cohort of online trainer coaching to see the messages that were coming in from people who were like legitimately upset,
angry, because we didn't basically get them jumping around and flailing around a different way every single day for their programs. And we're like, no, like, this is coaching. But if you think about it, I mean, walk into any commercial gym and look at how many trainers are actually in that gym. What percentage of trainers are actually like really building any kind of progressive programs with their clients? Like, it's tiny. Like, most coaches I worked with really built their programs like, okay, 15 minutes before my clients come in, oh crap, I got to put something together. Right? A really great program that you put out, like a 12-week progressive program that you put out, I mean, will take you hours to put together. And this, I think, is number one. A lot of clients challenge you on price because they simply don't know what goes into it, because most people in our industry don't do it.
Number one.
Right.
Number two, in terms of this asymmetry and then we'll talk about like ways to get over it. But the fact of the matter is, and so like number one is like, if you're really good at what you do, it takes you forever to make programs and you're underappreciated. Right. Yeah. Number two is, the main problem with training and the biggest issue that good people in industry run into, that is a really hard problem to overcome, is that it takes too long to elicit change, real change, sustainable change, that people lose motivation.
Right.
Like anything worth having takes time. We know that. There's a lot of small things that you have to do that kind of build up over time. Right. I mean, again, going back to online trainer coaching, like I started seeing unbelievable results at about week 7, which meant that I was working out 5 days a week for 6 weeks, right? And I felt good about working out, but I it definitely felt stronger, but like I didn't see my body change. But then once you get over that hump, once you hit that, like get over that neurological adaptation phase and get past that, holy crap, man, things started fast.
Everything happens.
Can you keep a client for 6 weeks in order to get to that point where the results get to be so unbelievable that they're hooked on them?
Right.
And that's a real problem, is like it takes too long to get change. And so, one of the most important ways to get over this in any case, let me put it this way. In any case, the fitness industry is a good example where there's this type of information asymmetry that exists. What it comes down to is how much you trust the expert.
Right.
And how much intrinsic motivation you're able to foster. And the expert can help you with the intrinsic motivation. And so trainers really, by and large, I think don't do a good enough job in communicating the journey and highlighting the small steps along the journey and congratulating you for accomplishing those small steps while also reinforcing how they told you were going to get there.
Right.
For example, the simple line of, holy crap, Ren, you hit that deadlift, man. That's awesome. By the way, we predicted that this was going to happen 8 weeks ago. Do you remember when we talked about this?
Absolutely.
I want you to congratulate yourself on all of the subtle decisions you made to get here. You've done an amazing job. Think about what that does, right? Those types of statements throughout the training, and not even necessarily 8 weeks. Like it could be 2 weeks into it, but by the way, I predicted this, right? Trust in the expert, trust in the system. Like I told you this was going to happen, bro. I don't think you quite believed me, but this happened. And also congratulate yourself because you did a lot of things that were really, really hard. And so what a lot of trainers, I think, need to do a much better job with along the way is figuring out how to create appropriate expectations, communicating that at the beginning, revisiting that. And that could be anything from like doing your first pull-up, right? That could be anything from like, oh man, like I told you could make the time for yourself to do something small every day. Like, yeah, you're doing a 10-minute stretch while your kid's in the bath. Like, amazing. Like remember we spoke about this. Like I told you could make that happen. Amazing. Congratulate yourself to, hitting a PR on a deadlift to whatever it is. And so that's a way to like reinforce trust in the expert. There's some intrinsic motivation into that. And then the final thing is, and a lot of this, by the way, is coming from, I've been deep into studying behavior change software. And so what do some of the best behavioral change softwares do? Calm is a perfect example, the medication or the meditation app. One of the things that they do is they have streaks and they encourage you over and over and over again to not break your streak.
Maintain a streak.
Right? Keep up your streak. You've meditated 120 days in a row. Wow, that's incredible. Don't lose it now.
Right.
Right? Click to share. Tell other people you did it. You're in the top X percentage of users. Think about what it would mean to your client if you're like, yo, you've tracked 5 workouts this week. You were 5 for 5. That's amazing. You're in the top 3% of my clients this week. Huge.
Keep the streak alive.
Keep the streak alive. That's how you begin to overcome these things. Because really what you got to do is you got to overcome these things enough to get over that initial hump until the real results take place. And then the hard work of your job is done. The frustration that we as coaches get into is it takes a long time and a lot of work to get over that hump. And a lot of our clients never do. And then the final part is this information asymmetry, where a lot of clients don't get over that hump because either the trainer gets bored or the trainer actually falls prey to the same information asymmetry, doesn't know what actually goes into good programming, and never builds a progressive program where the client's repeating themselves. Now, the double entendre here is you're afraid the client's going to get bored, but you got to get the client to be doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
Right? So there's a little bit of like ninja, like kind of maneuvering there, but I hope that this kind of like gives you some ideas of, number one, kind of illuminates the problem of people fighting you on price, of maybe your clients not getting the results you want, or clients falling off or not being as committed to the point where they get the results. And also why even clients who are with you for a long time, maybe not getting the right results. It's like, maybe they should actually be doing the same thing more often.
Right.
And maybe give you some ideas of how to incorporate that based off of, actually what the science of behavior change and physiological change says.
It's 100% true. I think it's interesting that you said that about the clients, because some of the comments that we got in OTC revolved around, well, if I gave this to my clients, I couldn't, there's no way I could keep them involved or interested. And I feel you.
Is that
true? You, son. Yeah.
But is that true?
No, it's not. It's your perception.
That's a very interesting statement. Because I'll give you an example. So I'm doing the advanced fat loss programming right now for OTC. Right. In the first 4 weeks of advanced fat loss programming, I'm doing a 5-day a week. So it's 2 days of cardio. We all talked about running and how much I love it. Right. So it's 2 days of cardio. And then it's 3 days of basically fat loss circuits. Now, the 3 days of fat loss circuits that I'm doing is actually the same workout, 3 days.
Right.
So I'm actually doing the same workout 3 days a week for 4 weeks straight.
Right.
So I'm doing the same workout 12 times and no other workout. Now, the only change is the order of exercises is flipped. Every second workout, basically, some of the exercises flip in order. And my phase 2, the next 4 weeks, are 2 different workouts. Right. So, and then it's more interval training and less steady state cardio. Right. And my question is, if you actually, because the second round of OTC, the clients who are going through it now, there's basically no pushback on the program.
Right.
Because we've educated on why beforehand, why we do it this way. Right. Here's the science behind it. Here's what you're going to feel. We know that you might feel like, I thought I was like paying for more workouts. It's like, nah, you're paying to get a result.
For the result.
And this is the best way to get a result. And here's why. And here's the principles we follow. And if you want to, here's the research you can read that this is based off of, like all of that, right? So my question is to people saying, oh, if I gave this to my clients, they would never do it, or they'd get bored, or they'd fight me on it. Well, put that through the fog filter, which is one of my favorite filters, which is what you're saying a fact, an opinion, or a guess? Do you actually know this to be true? My guess is you don't. So now it's either an opinion or a guess. Right. So the first step would be, can you prove or disprove this theory? What is the actual problem here? Because the actual problem has nothing to do with the program. And the actual problem has to do with you can't get your clients the types of results that you want to be able to get them because you're not giving them the programming that they really need. You're giving them substandard programming because you're afraid that they will get bored. Well, is that you or is that them? Number one. Number two, if that is true, if you know that that's true for a fact that they're going to get bored, is there a way that you can add in appropriate education? Is there a way that you can add in appropriate nurturing before the fact, building into your marketing and your onboarding so that you get people who buy into this type of training? Until you get to the point where people have such amazing results, because most others are not going to do this. They're going to give people substandard training. Right. And like, my guess is you're not. My guess is your client's like, I want to get in shape. You're like, cool, here's a workout. Well, there's no trust in the system. There's no trust in the expert. That asymmetry still exists, and nobody has met that objection, that problem head on. And so that asymmetry is now going to cause bigger and bigger problems because it's going to force you to do things that are disadvantageous. For that client.
It's interesting what people think a training protocol is supposed to look like, especially after knowing that they've read the science. Like, again, in our case, we're talking about these are educated fitness professionals. Not just some geek off the street. Like
educated fitness professionals, but again, here's this is John's episode to talk about what he sees some of the biggest problems and solutions to overcome it.
No, we won't allow it. No, we refuse. We refuse.
Educated.
We reject this information.
Yeah, we reject this information. What does educated mean nowadays? Right. Most of what you read is incredibly biased. It's basically one person's opinion on a thing. It's not source material. How many, of the people listening here, I want you to do like a self-assessment. How much original source material have you ever actually read?
Right.
No, you're reading blog posts, you're reading Instagram stuff, even if you're reading books, like mass-marketed books, right?
It's filtered.
It's somebody's assessment, biased assessment of what that information is. And that person, there's a good chance, never even really looked in depth at the source material. It's like, go to if you want to study evolution, are you going to read Richard Dawkins or are you going to read Charles Darwin? Well, yeah, Richard Dawkins, I think everybody should read, whatever edge of the evolution debate and religion debate you're on. I believe that it's important to read some of Richard Dawkins' work, because even if you disagree, I think it's important to read and understand what intelligent people who disagree with you think. I think you'll learn more from that than basically anything else. But at the same time, don't read Richard Dawkins unless you've already read Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species.
Right.
Like, read the source material first, then you can start reading more popular assessments. And so, when you talk about like educated fitness professionals, my question is, how are you being educated?
Right.
Because you're probably being educated in a less than optimal way that is it's very easy these days to sound overconfident in what you're saying and be persuasive.
Right.
And that's really dangerous when you're trying to actually be educated and actually figure out how to do this thing.
Right.
And we saw that, man. Like, I can't get over what we saw for the first cohort of OTC. I could not believe what we saw there, and just how little about actual programming principles the people who were going through that program understood.
And you know what, Jonathan? It wasn't just that. It was how it was how blatantly sure they were that they were absolutely correct in their posturing about. Like, that was the most shocking thing for me. It was, because the one thing to say, oh, well, I always heard and I always thought, and my opinion always was, and then a team of professionals all in agreement give you information counter to that.
Right.
And you say, oh, well, thanks so much for educating me. That's not what happened in a lot of the cases. Like, this thing went all the way up to, and let me preface it, like, we welcome questions. Like, this is not a situation where we're like, do as we say, listen, like, we know better. That's not what we're saying here. But it was interesting that it got all the way up to Joe, to sort of, explain himself as to why,
and he didn't explain. But here's the thing: he didn't explain himself.
He didn't. He explained the science.
He said, "Here's what the science says. Here's what the research says. Here's why I'm building it this way, based off of what the science says."
Right. But to that point, I was so much more shocked by how sure they were of their opinion than the fact that they had that opinion, because it gives you an indication if these again, the asymmetrical, whatever you're saying, just reminds me of a Salt and Pepper haircut from the 90s when you say asymmetry, because, Pepper had like a long side over her left ear, but over the right ear was shorter and a little blonde in the front. But I digress. I know it's time to wrap it up. and was like, on that note, podcast is over. But, just how sure they were. And if they have that thought process, having been members of the industry and having the ability to come in contact with, different people and different information, it only highlights your point in terms of that information gap between us and a potential client and their inability to sort of understand how it all ties together. So a couple of takeaways. I hope
can I say one thing first before
I want you to say one thing.
When we really broke it down into, the people that were struggling with the Online Trainer Academy, what was going on? Why were they struggling? They have everything they need, right? Why are they struggling? Yeah, we could do social media audits. Yeah, we could look at how you're marketing yourself. We could look at how you're positioning yourself. It, in almost every case, came down from they actually didn't believe that they could do a good job for their clients. They lacked confidence in their ability to program and their ability to get clients results. And as a result, they weren't putting themselves forward. Mm-hmm. They weren't, maybe they were kind of doing some content, right? They weren't on sales calls and in messaging. You looked at what they were saying and it was just like, You're not confident. Like, I can tell this from the transcript.
Right.
No wonder they didn't buy from you. Right.
Absolutely.
It comes back to that. And that's a big problem. I mean, unfortunately, the training to become a professional in this industry is lackluster. I think I've told the story before. I legitimately didn't know how to stretch the lats when I became a personal trainer. I didn't know that I could hold on to a bar and lean back to stretch my back.
Right.
And I still passed.
Right.
She asked me in the practical, how do I stretch my back? Not my lats. And I didn't know. And I still passed.
True story. He did the choreographer from Thriller. She asked him how to stretch his back, and he did an 8 count from the video Thriller with Michael Jackson. Man. She was like, "No, that's actually not it. Actually, that's Thriller, Jonathan." He said, "Oh, I thought that was a lat stretch." Okay,
sum it up.
Takeaways from this. Number one, if you have the ability to have this conversation with your client up front, you're going to be better off for it. Like, if you get this is what we learned this in ourselves in OTC. Going through the science-based reasons to a certain extent there's one level of explanation for understanding how to present a thing and another level of explanation to learn how to understand it. You want to present for understanding, not for expertise. But, to a certain extent, presenting that up front is going to help you out a whole hell of a lot. Even better than that in your content, speak about these things. I experienced it in OTC because a lot of those people didn't follow my content. So if you know how you program and you know how to program and you understand the science, it's a great way to circumvent these issues, to make sure that you bring that across in your everyday explanation. If you don't know what kind of content to do that. Explain to people how exercise really works, why they don't need to do a circus act every 3 days. That will save you a lot of the issues that you have as coaches in terms of gaining clients, keeping clients, is based on the fact that you don't give a great understanding up front of what your processes are and why you do it. If you can explain that in your content, it saves you a whole lot of headache. And I think the final point that I would like to make is like some of these exercise routines, these workouts, they need to have like that little disclaimer that they used to have down in the right-hand corner when the Psychic Friends Network was big, or when you could call Miss Cleo for your free psychic reading. Like right down in the bottom right-hand corner of your television screen, it would say, for entertainment purposes only. Some of these workouts that you're programming are not about results at all. They're literally for entertainment purposes only.
Which is also let's
if you love it,
let's put a corollary to that. Totally cool.
If you love it, do it.
Totally cool. Have fun. Move.
Yeah.
But understand that when you're looking at somebody doing that, what got them to there is not what they're doing now. They've earned the right to do that stuff. Right.
They've done the boring stuff.
They've done the boring stuff to get there. And to be honest, they probably still do the boring stuff. They just don't take videos of it. Because I got news for you. You watch a video of my workout, you'll be bored out of your goddamn mind.
Bored to death. This is why I don't share workout videos. There's nothing to see. There's no entertainment value in my workouts at all. And I'm okay with that. But if you want entertainment value, go for that. But realize if you're doing a 12-week program and you got to give somebody some discernible results in 12 weeks, you can't have them flipping all over the place, with different workouts every day for a 5-day period. You don't have the time. They're going to end up the same way that they started, or injured, possibly more likely they'll end up injured. And that's our
we talk about repetitive stress and overuse.
Yeah, that's the whole different
injuries and that kind of stuff. But
But
let's wrap this up.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Online Trainer Show. Something about symmetry is what it's going to be called. We don't know. Show notes, onlinetrainer.com/podcast. And Catalina, we'll see you next time. Thank you for that round of applause, Amber, for getting the name right.
We might see Carolina next time. I'm not sure.
Who knows?
I hope that we'll see her next time.
She's aloof. She's a mist. She's a wild Mustang running free across the Midwestern tundra of the.
She's a wild, aloof Mustang running free across the tundra in the boreal forest.
As free as the wind blows. Jingle, I guess. I don't know. Are we done?
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.